If you're doing a photo shoot that week, then it's completely about logistical things, trying to organise the photo shoot, trying to get the team together, making sure everyone's clear on your vision, having meetings with the client. And then if you're not shooting that week, I tend to do a lot of research, contacting people, trying to book in some coffee meetings, keeping on top of your books, looking at your marketing strategy and trying to implement that, going over my website, maybe rejigging things, and just making sure that everything's as organised as possible for the days when you are crazy busy.
Having to plan ahead is very important. Having a calendar is very important to remind you what to do when and how to spend your free time, essentially. Because when you're at a job, you can clock in and clock out, but when you're working from home, it's really easy to run away with your thoughts and check endless threads on Reddit or Instagram about the next big thing and where to find it. I clock in hours and I time myself how much I'm editing, how much I'm working. I time each thing and split a day for each particular task. And I do this most days a week, but I also give myself enough free time to shoot, to work on my own personal projects, and also to rest and recover, because something that a lot of freelancers don't do is take care of themselves.
In an ideal world, I would love to be shooting all the time, but realistically, I'd say 10 or 15% of my life I'm shooting. But other than that, I think the majority of the time being a photographer involves quite a lot of administrational tasks and logistical tasks and communication, and ultimately you have to be a bookkeeper. Like, you have to do everything and you have to have a lot of different hats unless you've got an agent. At times when work is slow, I do set some time to do some new research on different types of photographers. I wouldn't be editing old pictures necessarily. I do like to work on something new and fresh because my creative juices are flowing and I'm more excited. Ultimately though, when I do a new photo shoot for a client, I tend to improve my skills then and try something slightly new, just so that every shoot that I do, I want it to be the best and better than my last shoot. So I make sure that I'm constantly learning through that.
When you start your career, you are focusing on shooting and commissions, personal work, shoots. I think it's good to keep file hygiene, meaning organizing, in folders, whatever is you think it fits your mind and your structure, but you have to have a structure in place about how you organize your folders, your raw material, the exports.
I'd say every person that wants to be a photographer should have insurance. Definitely get public liability insurance. It's actually illegal to operate a business without having that. So just making sure that you're legal.
Regarding of tools that you can use, I think that is very personal. And it really depends on the photographer. For me, keeping things organized on drives or RAID systems, but then having a lot of things online, because these days it's like getting a bit of archive or storage online is cheaper than before. So if you know that, for example, you are going to be traveling, but you need to have easy access to files, just in case that you're traveling on a shoot or you're traveling on holidays, and suddenly you meet someone or you see that it's a commission going on, you need to access really fast your files. So have folders that is ready, well organized online on the cloud, so you can pull those things really easily.
Insure your kit. It can be as cheap as £20 a month, depending on how much stuff that you have, but it's very important to have that insurance. So for example, I've been at a wedding where I've gone to change my lens and I thought I clipped it and I didn't. And it's completely dropped off, banged on the floor. So instead of me having to pay so much money to replace it, I have insurance to cover it. Yes, you might have to pay excess, but again, that's stuff that you can choose how much you want your excess to be. And then you're able, to get it repaired rather than having to buy a whole complete new one. And then again, once you're connected with different communities, you can be like, hey guys, my lens is broken. Does anybody have a 24 to 70 that I can borrow? So you're always covered by your community, by your circle.
Doing Excel documents about like your contacts in the industry, the emails, the position that they hold or they held, keeping notes of when you email them, all those things. As years progress, it will be highly beneficial because you will have an archive of things that is very easy accessible.
It's a lot easier to have a business account, and it separates all your finances so that everyone can see what's photography and what's personal. Also, the accountant loves it. It makes their life easier. I also have really enjoyed using a bookkeeping software called QuickBooks. And I find that really helpful because then you can manage your finances, you can manage your invoices, you can see when people have looked at your invoices, and it's just a lot more organized, and yeah, just making sure that everything is as easy as possible so that you can deliver your work and spend more time being creative.
I use a lot of software to keep track of my equipment. You don't need to have like neither the latest camera, neither the latest computer for you start creating an amazing work. But I think like what you need is to be really organized and really clean with all the rubbish, the digital rubbish that computers create. If you have like cleaned my Mac for many years, and it's great to keep things tidy. I think it's not a game changer, but I think like most of the stuff that I've been used is a game changer, as in combine all of them, because all of the organizing software, something as simple as Excel, just for budgets and for contacts, and clean my Mac for just keeping caches clean. So all of that will pile up to not having to spend time waiting for renders, waiting for the image to do whatever you want it to do. Just access material, access information, all of those things will save you a lot of time. You will also at some point need more space to archive your things, so that also could save you money. If you are organized, you will avoid duplicity on files. You can always come back to your archive and say, okay, now is the time to organize my files, organize my archive. And I don't only mean the raw material of the picture, of the scans. I mean the text documents, contracts that you've been sent, things that you're seeing online that can help you, NDAs, agreements of any sort, things that you are collecting online. You should have like a good structure in place. So then when you are looking for something, you don't spend 2 hours just like going through folders, not knowing where you put that thing. I think like also when you work with clients, if you have a very good folder structure in place, it will show that you are professional as well. Everything little detail reflects of the kind of photographer that you are going to be.
A top tip for making sure that you're on top of everything, I would say, is making lots of different spreadsheets, making sure that you're on top of things like usage, and also just making sure you have a list of your clients, making sure you have a list of people you're contacting, when you contacted them, what they said, so that you don't end up contacting the same person and you look a bit silly.
For me, going freelance, I would say I was in a lucky position because I had just graduated from university. I was living at home. I had no dependents. I had no major bills to pay for, apart from probably my phone bill in that sense. So I was able to take a deep dive into my photography business.
I had some money saved, so it's something to consider if you are wanting to go freelance, is how much you need per month to live, and how much do you have saved, and how much are you willing to kind of take a step back per month that you're not working.
If I was to maybe start now at the age of 32 and I was doing a 9 to 5, for example, I would definitely make sure I've calculated my cost of business, what I want my salary to be, how many shoots I can do a week, and make sure I know minimum what I need to make from each client, so that while working my 9 to 5, I can build my photography business until that photography business takes over my 9 to 5. Then I know that I can make that shift.
Some people just will ignore you. They want to pay you as least as possible for the most work you're going to do. Have enough money set aside for different things, I guess, to keep yourself surviving, because there'll be clients that pay late.
How can you also make extra money on top? So whether you're that deep in the game that you can like become a mentor, or now you can do things like sell your presets that you use in Lightroom or Photoshop. That's another extra form of income for you to do. So then you have to start looking into multiple streams of income. Even though you do one service, how can that then turn into multiple streams of income? How can I make more money so you're not just dependent on that one thing?
Save at least 80% of your invoice once that's paid. If you do 3 to 4 jobs a week, 5 jobs a week, it kind of works out to be a lot. And it acts as a buffer if those pesky clients don't pay on time. And it gives you some chance to breathe. If, for instance, if your camera breaks and you need to get it repaired and a client doesn't pay and you need to pay rent, it gives you enough of a buffer to do all of that.
It's always a journey. You're never perfect. There's going to be times where you could be deep in the game and you're just like, yeah, I'm not 100% sure. And there'll be times where you feel like you've got it together. It's just staying on things, removing that procrastination that lives on our shoulder and that imposter syndrome that lives on the other shoulder, and really trying to stay true to yourself and knowing when, okay, am I doing enough? Do I need to do more? What can I change? Always review things. I feel like we get stuck in doing the same thing over and over again. Sometimes when things go wrong, you're like, wait, hold on a second, what happened? Let me go back to what I used to do because that actually worked.
My top tips for budgeting are save as much as you can before you start freelancing. Have at least a month or 2 months buffer of money saved that you need for like rent, camera expenses, travel, food. Have that aside and don't touch it until you need it.